Welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today I'm doing a single book review of the book Tenlo by Stark Holborn. So this is a science fiction that's coming out this month in June of 2021. I was lucky enough to get an ARC copy from NetGalley, so thank you to Titan Books for the ARC. That was great because I really enjoyed this book. There's no spoilers in this review, except at the end when I clearly tell you that spoilers are coming. Tenlo is an absolute adrenaline rush. It is this quick-paced, exciting, and fun adult sci-fi with this Western flair that kept me engaged the entire time. As I said, I absolutely loved it. I loved it. So what's it about? Tenlo is a person. She's an ex-army medic who lives on this desolate barren moon called Factus. She is just racked with guilt over her part in this recent interstellar war. It's humans versus humans. One night she's just wandering in the desert and she pulls a young girl from a ship crash, only to discover that this girl is a decorated army general from the opposing side of the war to Ten. So that's all I'm going to say because it's a lot more fun if you go into this book not knowing anything else about it. But it's just a blast. So what I love most is the characters. Ten is a, complex person without being melodramatic, and she has this dualism to her that is both realistic and understandable. She's driven and questioning, and she's tough yet also vulnerable. It was such a well done character because you could tell that she was conflicted, and she had great depth. She was also easy to identify with, and her motives made sense. I also adored the other character, the general. The blurb makes it, like the longer blurb, I only gave you a short one. The longer blurb makes it seem like she's a teenager, but in truth she's a child, which was even better. Snarky teenagers, with the chip on their shoulders, are less interesting than child soldiers with tragic backstories. And because she's a child, her actions and remarks turn from kind of being irritating to really endearing and very funny at times. Because it's like a self-preservation thing and not just like puberty. So I really liked the general. I thought she was great. There's some other minor characters. Falzo, this tough kind of gang leader, mercenary woman, and her gals, which is G''Hals, which I thought was very clever. And then this man named Silas. They were all very likable, quite awesome characters really, and the villains were few and far between, but they were worthy of the title. I actually liked that there was no kind of main antagonist really. The antagonist is pretty much just Ten and her guilt. But there are some baddies in this book that are great. I must say that I enjoyed the female-driven cast quite a bit. It's also very diverse in terms of LGBTQ+ representation, and these aspects were normalized and they did not feel forced. I really enjoyed pretty much everything about this book. Actually, I can't think of a single thing that I didn't like at all. The pacing is great, the story is fun, the setting is fantastic. So I'm going to get into that next. I really enjoyed how the novel gives you a gradual exposition of the setting and the world building. I'm really glad that this is a trend now in sci-fi because one thing I absolutely can't stand is an info dump. This novel drops you in medias res and forces you to learn as you go, as if you were, also a new arrival to the moon of Factus. I really love that kind of mimetic way of learning about a world. The setting itself is very fun. It has a real kind of Firefly-like feel to it, very Western in the sense of small towns struggling to survive in the dust. It also reminded me of the game Borderlands a bit, which I love that game. I've played every iteration, including Tales from the Borderlands. So this really reminded me of that, in that there's various raider-like gangs and overlords. And it's not post-apocalyptic, but it's also kind of definitely struggling. The fight scenes are reminiscent, I would think, of Mad Max Fury Road, but they are a lot of fun, and I was never bored. While I'm listing all these comparable medias to Tenlo, the book does not feel like a parsed together pieces of other stuff. It's its own story and setting and characters. I'm merely saying, if you liked these things, you will like this book. The plot, as I said, is engaging because it's one conflict after another, but the story also doesn't feel rushed. The novel provides, the characters with some moments of downtime, which I think is important and a lot of books tend to forget to do, which helps to broaden their personalities and their dynamics with one another. You know, this allows for small bits of humor, usually with the general, which, you know, I couldn't get enough of her. And it also served to build their relationship. The mystery around 10 is what you expect, but also kind of not, which was a nice twist. I was not, you know, I was not upset that I figured it out ahead of time, because it is a little different than what you're expecting. The writing is also as lovely as it is visceral. So I had a couple examples here, but the publisher didn't get back to me in time before I did this review, so I can't include them. Overall, I'd say the novel is this raw, exciting ride that deals with how far a person will go to redeem their conscience, you know, if that's even possible. I recommend it to anybody who loves a gritty sci-fi, especially those fond of the game Borderlands and the show Firefly. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope this encourages you to pick up a copy of this book. I'm be buying it in paperback for sure. I I have an e-arc, but I want it in my collection. That's how much I like it. Anyway, thanks for watching. I just want to talk for like maybe 30 seconds about kind of my favorite parts of the book. So if you've read this, what is your favorite part? My favorite part was probably the battle at the end. That was so cool on the train and everything. And I honestly thought like 5 people died that didn't die. It was nice that they didn't. I really loved how menacing the marshal was, and how, you know, it was such a reminiscent of like a western, because you had the bad marshal. That was a great little twist. I'm really glad that they brought that up at the end and he wasn't like a looming figure throughout, because that would have felt really like too much like it was trying to be a western. I just love that there was that almost like a little homage at the end to a western and having him as the bad guy. I loved all the technology, how it was just kind of incorporated in people's lives. I don't know, there was just so much. This book was so rich and so detailed, and I just really adored it. So I really liked too how we weren't sure throughout whether the beings or whatever they were that 10 was kind of harassed by, whether they were real or not, or whether it was they were ghosts. Like, it was really cool. And I love the twist how the raiders were actually black market organ, you know, sellers that were selling them to people that needed them. That was such a cool twist. Like, so much of this book was so much fun. Anyway, thanks for watching.